Welcome into the Root Podcast with Kiavion Nelson, where we dig deep into the root problems of our issues as people, as men and women, boys and girls, as ladies and gentlemen. But we don't only dig deep to the root of the problems, we also bring out solutions. And in today's podcast episode, we're going to be bringing out 10 solutions of this one problem. And this one problem is what's the word I'm looking for? This one problem is it exists heavy. It exists heavy in our society. And that problem is the fear of being loved again after heartbreak. I want you to hear that again. The fear of being loved again after heartbreak. Now, what comes to mind when you hear that title? You know what I'm saying? What comes to mind when you hear that title? Because when you think about it, in all actuality, you have situations where people are in relationships or people may have even been married and they truly love that other person, like truly, they really truly love that person. They laid their life down for that person. But for some reason, it just seemed like the other party, that other person just wasn't reciprocating that energy. They wasn't, you know what I'm saying? They wasn't giving back what the person was giving. So, and then it came to a point to where people, that's in relationships or have been married, they found out that the other person that wasn't really truly invested in them and was truly pouring their love into them as much as they come to find out that that other party that wasn't as invested, that wasn't reciprocating that energy, they find out that they ended up cheating on them, committing adultery, you know what I'm saying? And it happens like that, you know what I'm saying? Or it can be a situation to where, say if the person don't cheat, like say if the man or the woman, that other party that's not invested, let's just say they don't cheat, but you're still pouring into them. You may be still uplifting them. You may be still, trying to, help them in each and every way you can to, innately you think that it's helping your relationship. But nevertheless, come to find out that it just seemed like they don't care really, They may be too distracted. They may be consuming other things that have no business to do. They have nothing that doesn't have anything to do with what you are investing and pouring into them. It doesn't have anything to do to what you are bringing forth to them. So you are highlighting and enlightening to them that this is your core focus. This is what you care about. This is what you value. And hey, we're in a relationship. Hey, I think we should focus on this because this will get us ahead. This will, you know what I'm saying? This is what's going to help us soar, and spread our wings to the fullest capacity, right? And then the person that's investing all that energy and it's not getting reciprocated, then they lose hope. You know what I'm saying? Then they, or even a person that find out that the other person cheated. I did all I could, you know what I'm saying? I poured all my love, I invested all this time. And what's the point of trying again? What's the point of trying again if I literally gave my all, but it wasn't reciprocated? If I literally gave my all and they cheated, if I literally gave my all and they wasn't invested, they didn't care, right? Then that's where people lose hope. That's where people give up. But a question I want you to ask yourself, right? And we should all ask ourselves, if we found ourselves in these situations and in these situationships, the question is, have you truly loved yourself and poured into yourself and invested in yourself as much as you had needed? Did you hear that question? Have you truly loved yourself, poured into yourself, invested into yourself as much as you had needed? Because when it's all said and done, you have to learn how to fill your cup up first. Because if you don't learn how to fill your cup up first, and your cup is not full, and you may be pouring from a glass that's half full, then the water that is in that glass, right, that is in that cup, right, you are pouring out to maybe that relationship, to maybe that other person, or to maybe whoever, you know what I'm saying? You may be just a very giving person, and you may just be pouring your energy out. You may be pouring that water out so much, but you need to fill your cup up first. Because once you fill your cup up first and your cup starts to overflow, because you are creating strong standards, boundaries, you are living with morals, you know what I'm saying? You are creating certain guidelines and boundaries to not be crossed, and for you not to even cross those boundaries and those boundaries and standards that you have built up. You know, you have to become disciplined, and you have to remember your why, and you have to really learn how to really love yourself and accept yourself enough to know that where I'm heading, the direction I'm going, is more important than what my current circumstances is telling me. My current circumstances may be telling you, or may be telling us that, hey, you know, you don't have this right now, or you not at this level right now, you know, or whatever the case may be. And our current circumstances may try to discourage us. Now we're not being courageous. Now we're not, hey man, in the midst of my circumstances, I'm still gonna go out and do what I have to do. I'm not gonna live life based off what I see with my physical eyes, but I'm gonna put the work in the dark. I'm gonna put the work in even when it looks ugly on the outside, because I know me doing the inner work is gonna create an outer beauty, you know? So check this out. Now let's get into it. Mind you, this is one problem, but I got 10 solutions to this one problem. This is very important for those who are seeking marriage, for those who are seeking a significant other, or whatever the case may be. Listen, first and foremost, I want to say you have to fill your cup up first. You have to learn yourself. You have to learn the gifts and the talents that you have within you. You have to learn what makes you passionate. Like, you have to learn that what are you interested in? The world that you see. You know what I'm saying? Being the change you want to see for the better forever. So it can create a better you within. It can create a greater impact on those that's coming up after you. It can create a better impact, a greater impact for your children, for your children's children, for society, for the world, right? It's that time. It's definitely that time. We don't have time to waste on meaningless things. We cannot afford to continue to pour out all of our cup And when we're not even full ourselves, we cannot afford to continue to complain, to continue to make excuses about someone not rooting you on, someone not supporting you, someone not uplifting you, somebody not caring about what you care about, all these different things. When you haven't supported yourself first, you haven't encouraged yourself, you haven't uplifted yourself, you haven't invested in yourself. Come on now. You haven't motivated yourself enough. Maybe you have for a short amount of time, but maybe you gave up, because when it's all said and done, the truth is majority of us don't even know how to really embrace our own presence. We don't even know, a lot of us haven't even learned or don't even know how to enjoy our own company. We always think we gotta fill it up with something. We always think somebody else gotta be in that space. Something else gotta be in that space. But how about you fill your cup up with you? Dig deep down within inside. Come on now. Before we was born, majority of us was in our mother's womb for 9 months. So even when you even think about that, that's in the dark. And then we was brought forth to the light, right? So how about let's go into the dark? Let's go into the womb. Let's go into the cocoon. Remember, before the butterfly becomes a butterfly, it's a caterpillar. And when the caterpillar is going through the cocoon phase, it have to be patient. It cannot rush the cocoon phase, because if the butterfly rushed the cocoon phase and try to get out of that cocoon faster and quicker than what it's supposed to be, guess what? The wings will not be fully developed. The butterfly will not be able to fly to its fullest capacity. So think about that. Let's go deep within. Let's embrace the cocoon phase so we can spread our wings to the fullest capacity. Now let's get into this episode. We already into it. But hey, the truth has to be told. Let's go. All right. The first solution of healing and moving forward from this is acknowledging that you were giving your all to that person more than you were yourself. So the first solution is acknowledging, coming to the realization that, dang, man, I have been giving her my all more than myself. Dang, I have been giving this dude my all more than myself. So that's the first solution, is acknowledging. Because if you don't come to the awareness of that reality, you will continue to think that it's the other person's fault. You will continue to be in this victim mentality, pointing the finger. But no, you have to point the finger within yourself. You didn't know any better. You have to look in the mirror. You have to look at the ugly truth and accept that. And you have to work on you day in and day out. Progress is not about perfection. We can strive to be perfect, but we still will not be perfect no matter how we strive to be perfect. So practice, you know how the saying is, practice makes perfect? No, practice make progress. Practice make progress. And as long as you progress each and every day, you are doing a magnificent job. Because there's people out here that's not willing to grow, that's not willing to practice, right? That's not willing to progress in life. You know, it's a lot of people out here that's sitting down expecting for things to come to them when they haven't put in the work. They haven't proved themselves worthy of such things. Now let's get into the second solution. The second solution into healing and moving forward is forgiving the one who inflicted the pain, but also forgiving yourself for allowing and tolerating such behavior. So the second solutions, men and women, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, boys and girls, listen, the second solution is forgiving that person for hurting you. Forgiving that person for cheating on you, forgiving that person for maybe committing adultery on you, forgiving that person for not reciprocating the energy you was giving them, forgiving that person, right, for not caring and not being invested as much as you were. That's the second solution. And a part of that second solution is forgiving yourself. Forgiving yourself for not knowing. Forgiving yourself for allowing and tolerating that behavior. Because the reason why you allowed and tolerated that behavior is because you didn't love yourself. You didn't know your true worth. You didn't pour into yourself. You didn't invest into yourself enough to not tolerate such behavior. That's the second solution. Let's move on to the third. The third and a very important solution. This is this is the third solution, but it is very important. It's very necessary. Putting your full trust into God and not into man. Putting your full trust into God and not into man. A lot of times we put all of our trust into a human being. When human beings, we are flawed. When human beings, we are imperfect. When human beings, we make mistakes. But when you put your full trust in God, who don't make mistakes, when you put your full trust in God, who will never fail you, when you pull your full trust in God, remember, with man, it is impossible, but with God, all things are possible. So when you put your full trust in God, all things are possible. Because no matter if you get in a relationship, in a marriage, whatever the case may be, right? That person cannot fulfill and satisfy you fully the way God can. No matter what. Because no matter how good of a season y'all go through, y'all gonna go through a down season. Y'all gonna go through those bumpy rides, right? And the question is, we are humans, so when we go through those ups and downs, right, a lot of time, people don't love the same. They don't treat you the same. They don't show up the same because they are in their emotions. They're focused on their circumstances. But when you're going through the ups and downs, you know who never changed? God. God never changes on you. God love never stops for you. God doesn't leave you in the dark and let you figure it out on your own. But that's where you have to put your full trust in God. Because in the midst of you even not knowing, as you put your full trust in God, He will direct your steps along the way. You may not know the full plan. You may not know the full solution. You may not know the full answer, right? But as you put your full trust in God and you trust in His guidance, He will direct you to one solution after the other. Now let's move on to the fourth. Reflection. Reflecting on why you gave so much into the relationship instead of the relationship with yourself. So the fourth solution is reflecting, sitting back, taking some time with yourself and reflecting, why did I give so much? Was I giving so much because innately that's what I needed to give myself? Was I giving so much because maybe this is something I lacked? Nobody have never poured this into me as a child or as a teenager or whatever the case may be. Reflection is a great way to grow. Number 5, reflecting on the root causes that made your significant other cheat on you. So then you have to reflect on the root causes of the reason why your significant other cheated on you, or why they have or why they wasn't that invested, why they didn't reciprocate the energy. So when you reflect that, right, when you reflect on that, maybe you can do some assessing, some observation, you know what I'm saying? And be like, hey, maybe they didn't get poured into either. That's something to think about, right? Maybe they didn't get poured into. Maybe they didn't get invested in. Maybe they didn't get love the way they needed to. Hey, listen, it's not just about us. It's not just about us. You ain't the only one who got hurt. You ain't the only one who been through childhood trauma. You ain't the only one who been, you know what I'm saying? Felt abandoned at some point in your life. Felt rejected at some point in your life. Yeah. So reflect on, remember, this is the Root Podcast, so we have to dig deep to the roots and pull them out. And once we pull those roots out, we're able to be aware. We're able to be more observant. We're able to know now. And once we come to that knowledge of knowing, then it leads to understanding. Because in all things, we have to get understanding. So once we know, then we have to understand. And then we have to learn how to be wise and walk in wisdom. Now that I know, now that I understand, now how can I walk more in wisdom to not make the same mistakes again? Now let's move on to the sixth solution. Hey, maybe you need a therapist or a life coach. Maybe you need a therapist or a life coach. And for me, I would suggest a life coach. You know what I'm saying? And I don't knock therapy. I never even tried therapy myself. So I don't knock it, Of course, we all need, God need to be the forefront. But of course, everybody don't know God. Everybody relationship with God is different due to their circumstances, due to how they grew up. So that's understandable. But don't knock going to try therapy or trying out for a life coach. And maybe that first therapist may not be your therapist. You may have to go through a series of trying. Don't give up don't give up because you don't expect it to go because you don't expect because you didn't expect it. Don't give up because it didn't go the way you expected it to go the first time. So don't give up, you know what I'm saying? Just because it get hard don't mean you run away. Let's get to it. Because, let me touch on that more. Because maybe a therapist or a life coach can highlight more things that maybe you couldn't figure out yourself, that maybe you couldn't find yourself. So that's what I wanted to touch on that too. So let's go. Number 7, right? Number 7 is accepting the fact that though many of us didn't see or have an example of a healthy relationship between man and woman, specifically our parents, so yes, it may be true that it affected us in some negative ways, but still not allowing that to be an excuse not to set the example and learn how to love in a fun, mature, and understandable way. I think I need to say that one more time. The 7th solution is accepting the fact that though many of us didn't see or having a positive example of a healthy relationship between man and woman, specifically our parents. Hey, so yes, it may be true that it affected us in some negative ways, but still not allowing it to be an excuse to not set the example and to learn how to love in a fun, mature, and understandable way. That's deep. Now let's move on to the 8th solution. Let's go. I appreciate y'all tapping in, tuning in. Whoever view or watch this, man, I appreciate y'all. Let's get to it. If you like it, like the video. If you interested in topics like these, subscribe. You know what I'm saying? It's up to you. I ain't forcing you. I'm just suggesting. I'm just putting it out there. But let's get to it. Let's move on to the 8th solution. I really like this solution right here. The 8th solution is having a healthy group of men or women to not only hold you accountable, but to create or find solutions on healing, redefining your value in ways to create safe and respectable standards and boundaries. I'm gonna repeat that again for those in the back. Having a healthy group of men and women, man or women, to not only hold you accountable, but to create or find solutions on healing, redefining your value in ways to create safe and respectable standards and boundaries. That's deep. And let's go ahead and skip on to the 9th solution. We got 9 and 10. We got 2 more. So the 9th solution is having a true vision on what not only having a true vision on what not only what you want in a relationship or what you desire in a relationship, but more importantly, what you need and what will be abundant and prosperous for the foundation between you and your significant other. Between you and your significant other, you know? Yeah, so this is true because a lot of times we desire what we want, but have no idea what we need. So a lot of times we get confused by chasing what we want, by thinking what we want is what we need, but in actuality, what we need may not look like what we want. And that's just the truth, you know? Last but not least, there's way more solutions to this, but I just have 10 for y'all. Last but not least, the 10th solution to this is to believe in that vision, to trust God, that love is still available, to trust God that you deserve to be loved, cared for, and treated how you're supposed to be. And that is the end of this episode of the Root Podcast with Keavion Nelson. And this episode was based on the fear of being loved again after heartbreak. Be the change you want to see. Transformation is necessary. And nobody can be you like you can. Let's get it.